Hi there. This is my third attempt on this video. I keep forgetting to turn the microphone on and I end up going on way longer than I should without noticing it. Thanks for the 25 subscribers. We're well over that goal now, and I thank everybody for it. The new goal is to have 15 hashtag Dark Brandon Rises comments. It's a pro-Biden hashtag. It started as soon as he did that video or a speech where he was talking about the basically the terrorist element, the cult element in the Republican Party, and it just pissed them off. Topic for this video is Glenn Kirshner is going to be talking about three uh, criminal cases, three judicial cases going on in the Republican Party around Trump. And he's a guy that has like a 30-year experience covering like really hard cases in the DOJ and the Army JAG Corps. And we'll be going from there. And let's just cue it up.
So there are lots of developments on the legal front, friends. Let's take on three stories. One involving Sidney Powell, one involving Matt Gaetz, and one involving the continued failures of Donald Trump's legal team. Because justice matters.
Yeah, Glenn Kirshner, he's got a really, really good, I don't know if you want to call it a podcast on YouTube, but he's got a really, really good one. I usually watch it almost every day. I think it's very informative. And I think there's a lot of people out there that if you could actually get them to watch it, they might have a better understanding and a much less delusional understanding of what's going on. There was a thing they did. Maybe I'll do a video on this. What they did was they paid some MAGA turds, they paid some people on the right to sit and watch CNN. They were actually paid to do it. And what these people found was that when they were, basically encouraged or forced or bribed or whatever, it actually woke some of them up. Some of them, I don't know if it's Fox News, OAN, or if it's just, the water cooler in their little closed circle of morons, but they found this out. Oh God, it was back when Bush was president, Bush Jr. That some of the people that watch these right wing news sources, they did it with Fox, and it was the only one that existed. Yeah, I got a cat. She doesn't realize it's going to take me longer to do this if she keeps bothering me, but she needs to be fed right now. And I'm trying to get this before I go down the stairs because it might be a while before I can come back up. I'm just, trying to get this done. But they found that people that watch right wing news sources are generally less informed about what's going on than people who don't watch the news. They found that people that did not watch the news were actually more informed about what's going on than the people that actually watched, your right wing sources of lies, conspiracy theories, and delusions. But anyway, so he's kind of mentioned these three topics, and I think I'm going to skim over each one. If you want to catch the full story, go check out his podcast. It's well worth the time.
Hours. Let's start with Sidney Powell. We got a runner. Here is the new reporting from Salon Magazine. Sidney Powell fails to appear at Trump-related grand jury interview.
Yeah, the Republican Party, they can't claim to be the party of law and order when so many of these Republican operatives, like, and this isn't like, Hillary when they went after her, and and again, that one guy that took the fifth, there might have, there might have been something bad going on there with him. Hillary never took the fifth. Hillary never ran from a subpoena. She showed up. Now, there was no criminal subpoenas by the Justice Department because she didn't do anything wrong. It was all harassment from the Republicans, but she never ran from this. She's not like the Republicans that were in office where, oh, we we can't possibly come in and talk about our involvement in January 6th. Hillary showed up and she answered all the questions. Yeah, she showed up and she answered all the questions. And Sidney Powell, she's got a subpoena. That's not a request. Um, I don't know why a bench warrant hasn't gone out for her. I literally, it's a state level, but still, they should have no problem, getting a judge to issue a bench warrant and bring her ass in. But again, when you are rich, when you are powerful, and you are in the Republican Party, there seems to be a different justice system for you out there.
Okay, let's take on the third legal development. And friends, this one is delicious. Donald Trump's criminal defense team, his attorneys, have painted themselves into a corner. Trump and his attorneys demanded that Judge Cannon appoint a special master to review the classified documents that the FBI seized from Mar-a-Lago. And Judge Cannon said, "Yes, Mr. Trump." Trump and his attorney said, "And we want the special master to be Judge Raymond Dearie." And Judge Cannon said, "Yes, Mr. Trump." And now, Judge Dearie's in charge. Here's today's reporting from the Washington Post. Dearie asks Trump lawyers whether they believe FBI lied about seized documents. And that article begins, "The Mar-a-Lago special master on Thursday ordered Donald Trump's lawyers to state in a court filing whether they believe FBI agents lied about documents seized from the former president's Florida residence in a court-authorized search last month, or claimed to have taken items that were not actually in Trump's possession." All right, friends, let's recap. First, Judge Dearie told Donald Trump and his criminal defense team, "I'll do the review of these records that you want me to do, that Judge Cannon put me in charge to do. First, I'm going to need you to certify what documents, if any, Donald Trump declassified, because that's important for me to know when I'm reviewing these documents for possible privilege." And Donald Trump's defense team said to Judge Dearie, "No."
I went to the third story that he's doing because I want to spend a little more time on Matt Gaetz. But right here, this is another thing of Trump that is just not going good. The appeals court has come out, and they have really, very politely, they could have done a lot better job, but they have very politely explained what is wrong with Cannon's ruling, where she basically did this. And again, he's got a video on this. I might do another one later. I think I've already done videos on Cannon, but I don't know if I've covered that yet. But he clearly was getting special treatment. One legal analyst, they said, they go, yeah, the when you look at it, she basically ruled that Trump needed to be treated special. And I've done a video where I talked about how what Cannon did. Now that one-eyed fat guy who runs the Proud Boys, he's asked for a special master. And I basically said, well, they should appeal the whole ruling. They didn't. I don't think they can now. But I'm like, they should have appealed the whole ruling. They should have asked for an immediate stay of the judge's order on the classified documents, so they get going on the criminal case against Trump. That criminal investigation into how that was handled. And that's like a serious thing. That puts our entire national security at risk. Him screwing around like this. And but I go, they should have asked for a less immediate review of the judge's entire order, because right now they are set up, because of this treatment of Trump, for every criminal out there, at least at the federal level, to start asking for a special master. And that, I don't remember what the guy's name is, but that one-eyed guy with the eye patch that led is one of the leaders of the Proud Boys. He's in jail right now. He's asked for a special master. That is going to include that's going to basically have a very big cost burden, and it's also going to add a lot of workload to the Justice Department. If every criminal out there, these special masters, my understanding, are generally only used when there is a lawyer that is being prosecuted. And then the special master, when they go through their documents, can actually sift out the stuff that does not pertain to the case, that has a attorney-client privilege. And there's no need for that. They said that the amount of attorney-client privilege that might be in there, uh, the judge could have handled. The judge could have, now again, as bad as her judgment is, maybe this is better because I don't think she's competent or qualified for the job. And this is the main reason I want to talk about this. Um, Whether it's done by impeachment, which the Republicans will never do, they've got their corrupt and incompetent judges in there, and that's what they wanted, Mitch McConnell and Trump and the rest. But the judicial branch, they should actually remove her like they removed that Roy Moore. He was a Republican judge in Alabama, and he kept flouting the law, and they removed him. Well, the Justice or the Judicial Department should actually remove her, and it would send a message to the rest of the judges out there: Hey, look, if you want to be incompetent, if you want to be worthless, you can't do it here. You just got to go somewhere else. It would send a clear message and it might actually help, but they're not going to do it. I seriously doubt if they're going to do it. And I think it's good. I was a little worried about this Judge Deirdre because I figured, well, there's got to be a reason why they requested him. I figured they had something on him because it sounded like he was a good judge going back, but to me, I wondered if they had something on him. But when you watch this, oh my God, is it good? Uh, they have to basically let him know. Well, now they don't because the appeals court basically struck that down. But uh, and they said that they're not judging it now, but they figure when it goes to a full, like when it actually goes through the appeals process, they're gonna win. So they're just striking down her order. And they said the Justice Department can immediately start using those intelligence documents for their criminal investigation. But he also is going to make them uh, explain why they have to do it under oath. They have to explain to him why this went to Judge Cannon and not the actual presiding judge over the matter. He wants them to explain a few other things about these documents. And the biggest one there is where they've been saying in public, well, they planted evidence or whatever. Well, you can't plant evidence and declassify something. He's all over the board on this, but it's like, yeah, they're going to have to explain. Okay, well, here's going to be we're going to get the government to give us a complete list. We're going to have them double check it, dot the i's, cross the t's, and give us a complete list of what they seized at Mar-a-Lago. And then you guys will have so many days, and you will have to. They're basically either going to have to certify that yes, that's everything that was taken, or they're going to have to come out and state like what they didn't have there, and then it will be investigated. But what's going to happen is they're either going to put something on paper that they can likely be held in contempt for perjury, and maybe even criminally for perjury, or they're going to have to admit that yes, that's everything the FBI had taken. So they're either looking, and the lawyers, if they're a part of it, Barb McQuaid was saying the other day, they might face disbarment for it. And so this is really, really good. I am almost sorry I doubted that guy. I think there were some real concerns about this guy, but he is really doing a good job. And see, this is something that should have happened under the Trump administration when you had these lawyers that were making all these claims. And when you had Trump making all these claims, I think the judges should have done a little bit of this. They should have looked at the people that were and said, look, we have some serious questions because your side, your client or you are making these comments in public. So what we're going to need you to do is we're going to need you to certify and give us evidence of why that's true. Because we saw this under the Trump administration where they would sit there and make all these claims about election fraud. And then when they got into court, they never brought it up. They just literally never brought it up. And then you got these ones because they made all these comments about the voting machines. And now there's $1 million lawsuits of what some of these Trump lawyers have said and Fox News and other, and they are facing, you know, the Alex Jones treatment. They are facing going bankrupt. They're going to be basically just looted for money for their lies. If they'd have done that in court, they could have been disbarred. Some of them are looking at being disbarred for the stuff they did do in court, the frivolous lawsuits they filed. And I think this is a good thing. I wish it would go a little bit faster. And then please bear with me. I really hope it's going to be worth it. But let's go ahead and cue up the second part where they're talking about Matt Gaetz.
In sex trafficking probe. And that article begins, career prosecutors have recommended against charging Representative Matt Gaetz in a long-running sex trafficking investigation, telling Justice Department superiors that a conviction is unlikely, in part because of credibility questions with the two central witnesses, according to people familiar with the matter. Okay, let's talk.
Okay, and this is what I, and again, go watch his whole video. He's going to go into a lot more depth on it. But this is the reason why I wanted to cover this one. I've got at least, and I think it might be my first or second highest rated video on here on YouTube, where I'm talking about actually holding the Trump Barr Department of Justice accountable. It is one of my most popular videos. It's got the most traffic on it, and in that one there, and if I don't forget, I'll link it in here so you can go check it out if you haven't seen it. But in there, it talked about the things that were going on in the Barr Justice Department that really should be criminal, in my opinion. Should absolutely be criminal. They should go in there. The people that were involved in it should have, like, you had these people that got involved in the Flynn case, and in the General Flynn case, at a certain point, it became obvious to the judge, I think, that the prosecutors who were supposed to be working for we the people were actually working for General Flynn. And there's actually a point where that Sidney Powell, who I believe was the one representing him, I'm not 100% sure, but I think she was the one who was representing him in that case. She actually told the judge he had to dismiss the case, and I think Glenn was the one that reported on it. But she said that they actually had to dismiss the case because there was nobody prosecuting it. I don't think she meant to say that, but it was one of the few moments where she was actually honest about something. And when it went to, again, reported by Glenn here, when it went to an appeals case, the appeals judge, they wanted to know why the government was so upset. They go, "You guys have motioned to dismiss the case, and the judge has not ruled on it." And there was he's not a criminal lawyer and he's not a federal lawyer, so he really didn't know what he was talking about. But there is a guy, and he kind of went nuts over the pandemic, so I quit watching his channel. But he's an actual family lawyer who commented, and he was just completely wrong. In the state of California where this guy lives, if a prosecutor dismisses a case, the judge has no role other than to process it. It's kind of like the Mike Pence during the election process. He only really has any role other than to open the letters and read them. He doesn't have the ability to overthrow the government like Republicans thought he did. Well, in the state court, that's the way it is. But in a federal court, once the case gets to the judge actually has to approve when they dismiss a case. He does not have to dismiss the case. And so the judge in question was going to have a hearing on it. And I believe he had already hired somebody to do the work of the prosecutor, because he had already come to the conclusion that the prosecutor was not representing we the people, he was representing the criminal. And so he hired somebody to do the work while he appealed the decision to dismiss it. And, or no, they appealed because he wasn't going to dismiss it. He was going to have a hearing on it. And when it got to the appeals case, our court, the first thing one of them asked was of what I'm going to talk about was, well, why are you against a hearing? I mean, I could see you appealing after his hearing if he didn't rule in the way you wanted, but he's just having a hearing. Why are you appealing this? What are you afraid of him having a hearing? And the prosecutors for Barr and Trump basically said, well, we fear an investigation by the executive branch or by the judicial branch into the executive branch. And then at a certain point in the appeals, another judge I think it was another judge. I don't think it was the same judge because it had gone to the full en banc hearing because the uh, the original appeals process had two Trump judges, and like when Glenn covered it, he goes, "I got a feeling when this goes that this will go to the full court. I think the judge will appeal this decision." And he said, "And when it goes to the 11 judge panel, I got a feeling the majority decision will look a lot like the one lone judge here." And he was right. When it went to those 11 judges, all but the two Trump appointees ruled in the exact same way the lone judge did. Another case like Cannon of these bad, unqualified Trump and McConnell judges is showing itself in that one too. Well, one of the judges asked, they go, "I got a question. If prosecution came in full view of the judge in open court and all the witnesses and the jury, if the defense came over and gave the prosecutor a bag full of money, and right after he got that money, the prosecutor then moved to dismiss the case," he goes, "Are you saying that a judge has no right to look into that?" And they said, "Well, yeah, that's," and literally, according to Glenn, literally they said, "Yeah, that's what we're saying." And that judge kind of blew up at him, and he said, "Well, then you're saying a judge has to be a participant in a crime going on in his own courtroom." So shortly after that, they ruled that yes, we will send this back. The judge can have his hearing, and and so they ended up pardoning Flynn because they couldn't get him off. And this is why it's so important, like in the Kyle Rittenhouse case, that they actually do something to that judge, either remove him, maybe prosecute him like for civil violation of the victim's rights. I mean, they need to do something to him to send a clear message to the next lunatic judge but that's what they got in there, like, and they're like, "Look, you can't." And then the retired judge and the former prosecutor that judge had hired to do the work of a prosecutor, when they got all done with their investigation, when they had looked into it, that guy basically issued a report like the prosecutors should have, and he basically stated that this is why they have that rule in federal court where the judge has to approve of any dismissal. And he said it's for matters just like this where you have injustice being done, corruption being done because of people being powerful or connected, like General Flynn. And it was very, very damning case. And now you look at this and the video I did the other day, you put it all together. What I'm seeing is if if Garland had gotten in there and he had immediately opened an investigation into the FBI and the Justice Department, and he had seriously gone after these prosecutors, like the ones that handled the Flynn case. I think there was some stuff. I can't remember this, and I'm not going to look it up for the video. But if I think there were some judge or some prosecutors that were like mishandling or acting up around Roger Stone and some of the other cases. I think they went in and can't remember if they were just trying to get his sentence reduced or what, but they were basically monkeying around in there in a case which they shouldn't have. And you had all these prosecutors and members of the Justice Department and I think the FBI that clearly were acting like mob lawyers for Trump. They were not acting like, prosecutors for we the people. And he should have, and in the Kavanaugh thing, those lawyers got in there and really, it didn't look good. And maybe it's happened before, maybe both sides do it, that I don't know. But I'm speaking about this case. And Garland should have got in there and he should have looked it over. And I think he would find that there are a number of people in the US Attorney's Office, in the fucking Department of Justice, in the FBI that should maybe be criminally charged for obstruction of justice, misuse of office, and so on. Because you had some of these U.S. attorneys, the way the law states, when they get a criminal referral from Congress, it's either shall or must. I think it's shall, but the law states they shall put that in front of a grand jury. And they didn't. There's all these criminal referrals that came in. Some of them came in for the Republican controlled Senate, and they didn't do anything. They just literally did not do anything. And because of that, It's just like the judge for the Kyle Rittenhouse case. If that judge had acted properly, if he had not misused his judgeship, if he had not shown so much bias towards the prosecutor and so much deference towards the guy who was accused of murder, if he had not broken Wisconsin state law, the Victims' Bill of Rights, if he hadn't have broken that, if he'd have followed it, if Kyle Rittenhouse had gotten off, a lot of us would have viewed it like the OJ case. Those of us that knew he was guilty, we would have viewed it a lot like the OJ case. It's like, well, okay, but it went through a fair system, which it didn't. And that's the thing we got now with all this criminal activity that appears to have happened under the Trump administration. And Garland is sitting there with this. How do we know that these prosecutors aren't bad? We don't, because there's never been an investigation. He has not held any of these criminals that are in there accountable. And this is the real problem we got. And I think I'm going to tag this video into the president and let him know, hey, look, this is just not good. I mean, I hate to say it, but because of Garland's dragging of his feet on this, I just don't see how this, if he isn't convicted, I think it's going to look, and I think it's going to understandably look like, well, there's still corruption going on there because Garland hasn't addressed it. And here we are, like, 18 months into the presidency, almost halfway over the first term, and you may still have bad actors in the Justice Department. And I don't know what to tell you. It just seems like a no-brainer. Leave your comments down below. If you are a delusional person who makes a lot of videos where you lie, just so you know, I am not going to debate you. I've been very clear on that. I don't know if you are a Russian agent who doesn't understand English, or if you have some kind of a mental disease where you never grew up past 3 years old or 4 years old. But I'm not debating you, and I don't care how many of your alt accounts you use to harass me. I'm not going to debate you. You're just going to have to go on making videos that lie about reality without me. I'm not going to add any credibility to it. And then I want to thank everybody for the likes, the shares, and the subscriptions. You just keep sharing. It helps me out. Peace out, and I hope everybody has a great day.